Welcome to the World of Horror podcast with Mom and Mac. This is the podcast where we share our love of international horror. Everyone has their fears, but we are not afraid of subtitles. Before we get into it, fair warning, these discussions will include spoilers and language which may not be suitable for all listeners. Let's move on to our first segment, Mom and Mac Chat.
Do you want to get into it now?
Sure.
Hi, Mac. How's it going?
Hi, Mom. You know what? It's going very well.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Me too. You know, it kind of depresses myself when every time I get asked that question and I'm like, shitty, as always. So it's really nice that that's different and that I have new things to tell people that I'm doing. So my new things are walking and honestly, mostly walking. I feel like a fool. I've lived here for a few years now, and I had no idea that there were multiple trails around my house. I've got like choices. Every time I look up, walking trails near me, Google's like the ones in your neighborhood. That's what your city has. And I'm like, oh, awesome. And that's now on my list of things to look for at my next house. Because I still hate this house, but I love this neighborhood. Speaking of why I hate this house, was looking for some Tupperware the other day. Oh, this kind of smells musty. Open it up. Oh, the fridge has been leaking. And there's the most mold I've ever seen in a cabinet in my life in the Tupperware cabinet. And don't know how long that's been happening. But we cleaned it yesterday. But yeah, that was, again, I was just like, yeah, I'm fuck this house, man. I can't believe they asked $300,000 for it.
Yeah, you dodged that bullet, and thank goodness you are moving.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing really well too.
Yay!
Yeah, I've been doing a bunch of art. I did a bunch of art this weekend. That always makes me feel really good. And yesterday, I was just sort of like in this zone, and I had somewhere to go at 4:00, and I kept saying, okay, I'm going to, do this until 2, and then I'll take a walk, and then I'll, I don't know, take a shower. And then it'd be like, okay, I'm going to do this until 3. And then, and it just kept pushing back and pushing back. And actually, I never got a walk yesterday, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I just did a ton of art. And I thought, you know what? I need to shift my life around because, like they say, when you're on your deathbed, nobody says, I wish I would have worked more. I don't want to regret not making art when I had the chance to do it. And I'm working a ton. So I just have to get really creative with my time. But so that's going on. And I've had a lot of doctor's appointments lately. Nothing's wrong. Just kind of, checkups and stuff. My vitamin D is where it's supposed to be. And
yay!
My blood pressure is not high anymore.
That's awesome.
Yep. And there's something going on with my eye. So I'm going to get that rechecked in December. But the guy was really funny. He's just like, it's going to go one or two of two ways. It's either going to clear up on its own or it's going to get worse. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's just the reality. And yes, you're a little young for this kind of thing to happen, but it's not unheard of. And if you need retina surgery, you'll get retina surgery, but he's like, there's nothing you can do. You don't have to make any changes to your lifestyle. And I thought, well, that was a kind of a nice thing to say because I had Googled everything like high blood pressure. I don't know, high blood sugar. Like, am I doing something to my body that's causing this problem? No, it just happens. And like he said, it's either going to get worse or it's going to get better. And we'll find out in December.
I like that a lot. It's, and the fact that he was saying there will be a solution, if it gets worse. And that is just, it'll just be a fact. It's not going to be like, and then everything's going to fall apart in your life. Because that's what anxiety tells you is like, well, then if this happens, first off, it was my fault. I should have been better. And secondly, everything I've ever loved and known is going to go away. And it's like, nope, that won't happen.
Yeah, no, there's no, it's not a tragedy, but I am a little bit limited in how much computer time I can do and how much close-up artwork I can do. Eye gets tired. And so I just have to kind of lie down or do something, go for a walk, or do something that's not reading or not up close work. So, but I sure don't want to be like grading papers and like, I don't know, just all this stuff that is not fulfilling.
Yeah. Well, I think that's good that you're being conscious, because I honestly, with like working at a desk job on my computer, have had almost kind of something similar where, well, I used to play a lot of PC games and I thought that gave me joy, but now I'm like, well, I just cannot sit at this desk any more than I like have to. And sometimes I mean, so nice. Anytime you see me looking that way, I'm looking at the tree outside, because also they say you should like look not at the computer a lot. Sometimes my eyes will hurt or be like watering at the end of the day because I've just been like staring at this screen. And so then, I don't really want to look at my phone or like my tablet. And I'm like, well, that's probably a good thing. And that just means I should be doing something else and not not sitting on my butt playing The Sims for like 3 hours. Oh no, that's probably that I should be thankful. And I I feel like I kind of had a breakthrough with my anxiety too, because I am also a person who Googles everything. Like, I had 2 UTIs really close to one another. And then I was Googling, well, like, what could this be? Well, it could be this condition that they don't know why it happens and it's not curable and you'll be uncomfortable for the rest of your life. And I was like, that's what I got. Oh no. But then the kind of similarly, the nurse, because they called me back and they were like, yeah, we couldn't the second time find like the specific bacteria it is. And, definitely let us know if you get a third one, but it just happens. Like, please don't worry about it. And I was like, you know what? Okay. And then I thought to myself, because I get worried, about stuff. Anytime I see somebody has died of cancer, I'm like, cancer, just always in my mind. Or if I have a weird BM, I'm like, that's the colon cancer happening. Oh, whoop-de-doo, But it's not. And then I realized, like, literally there's nothing you can do anyway. So it could be true that in the future there are times that are harder than now. But if that's not right now, then when the harder times happen, won't you be pissed that you just spent that time freaking out instead of enjoying it? Like, you're not even going to have stuff to look back on that was nice, because it'll just be you with your head in your hands like, fuck my life. And you didn't even know that was the good time. So make it the good time now. So that's what I've been trying to do.
I lost a whole year when I was 29 years old because I didn't think I had done enough. I wouldn't have done enough by the time I turned 30.
Oh no.
So just in anticipation of turning 30, I just lost a whole year of my life. So yes, don't do that. It's dumb. And like we were saying before, there are certain things you can do, but life's going to happen anyway. So there's a lot. Most things are out of your control.
And you won't even know what they're going to be. They're things beyond your wildest imaginations.
Yeah. And worrying about it isn't not going to help anything. So I know it's easier said than done, but it sounds like you're really in a healthy place with things because, yeah, I mean, stuff's good. I feel like that sometimes I have a lot of anxiety driving.
Same. My God.
And
I hate driving.
But it's like, someone's going to hit me or they're not. My car's in good functioning order. I pay attention when I drive, and that's all I can do. So
yeah.
Anyway, what else was I going to say to you? Something else good. But I can't remember what it was. Oh, I did something.
What?
Yeah, so I'm going to be a part of this thing called Art Stock, and it's basically
Ooh.
a tour of art studios. And I thought I was going to have it in my house. So I wanted to get my catio done, and that's probably not going to happen in time. And then I thought, I don't want all these people like tramping through my house and all this. Well, I have been put up in a pop up studio. And so I don't have to have people
Ooh.
coming into my house. And
Nice.
I would have not known any of that because I had just made up my mind. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it,
Mm.
but I am going to do it. And I went to the meeting yesterday all by myself. I just went in there all
Nice.
by myself and I talked to strangers and I listened to the information and I wasn't going to go and I went. So I feel glad about
I'm
that.
so proud of you. That's awesome because I know that is so scary. Like also fighting your mind when it's like, don't do it, bro. Bro, don't do it. Like it's not you'll feel better if you just cancel. But then logically, well, then I'll just be at home doing the thing that I usually am doing. And there's a euphoria about having a task that's now done,
Mm-hmm.
Like because then you're not doing it anymore, but you also have the satisfaction of like, I did a hard thing. I'm awesome. So I feel like I read something that's like if you have things in your life, not necessarily stressors, but like things to overcome, you'll be happier than if you didn't have them. And I
Mm.
feel like that's pretty true. Like, well, I try not to think of it like wasting now, but there's been like a few years in my mid to late 20s now that I'm in late 20s era where I would definitely say not a lot happened. Like I don't know how to classify those years. Like I guess like 2019 to 2023 is kind of like what even happened during that time. I don't know. I don't know how I grew as a person. I if any it helped me get here now and that's about it, which that's nice. Why did I bring that up? But a lot of that was spent being like, I don't want to do this thing, so I'm not going to do it. And I feel like when you're an adult, that's kind of like, it's like also the adult thing of like, I can eat whatever I want now. It's like, well, you can, but it's not going to feel good,
Yeah.
like that, that, that thrill is going to wear off pretty quickly. So same thing with canceling something. Sometimes you got to, but most of the time it's like, well, just do the thing
Yeah.
and then you'll be done. And then you'll have done it and you'll have a new experience in your life.
Yeah, and it's going to make me nervous to like go to the kickoff parties and to like talk to strangers about my art. I had a dream last night that it was like a furniture showroom because he told me in my pop-up gallery there's not any wall space. So I just have to bring stuff that can go on tables, but that's fine. I have a ton of that stuff too. And so I had this dream that I had all my stuff, I had my pieces, and someone had moved them to a bottom shelf and then moved my piece of furniture like to the middle of the room. And I don't know, I think I just woke up going, all right, I just have to advocate for myself.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
And I do have to put myself out there on social media and probably open this Etsy store and do all of those things. And no one else is going to do them. So, but
I feel like that's so cool that your brain was just like, well, we're just going to do it then, like it's going to like, I feel like that's such a, not like there's two kinds of people, but like some people will just be like, well, I guess that's how life goes then, I say this as somebody who's done that before,
oh,
but
definitely.
it's better to be, like, well, all right,
I think
things have changed and now I got to do it.
I think it's really hard when I used to feel like this when I read poetry in bars. It's kind of hard because you're basically like stripping naked in front of a crowd of people, and except it's emotionally naked. And so, and it's kind of, I don't know what it's going to be like. This has been a really big year for me, like artistic wise. And so this is a whole new experience, and I don't know what it's going to be like. And maybe none of my stuff will sell. Probably none of my stuff will sell because he said 15 pieces sold last year. And there were
Wow.
probably 40 people in that room. So
Whoa.
that's a lot of art. And if
Yeah.
5 pieces sold, that's not a lot of art that sells. So I just have to
Mm.
be braced for like 2 days talking to strangers and not selling anything. And that'll just be fine because then I'll have that experience and I will have
Yeah.
done art stock. So,
And it will be like when you then in the future sell things, it'll be something to contrast to. Remember that time I did this
yeah.
thing? Nothing sold then, but look at me now, buddy. You know, you get a before and
And
after.
also, I don't know, it's just something to put on my resume and my
Yeah.
artist resume.
I feel like the value of just experience like that is so good. You know, it's like an actor that's acting in a major motion picture now had to get rejected a bajillion times before that, you know? But if that's nobody's like first audition
Right.
is like, now you're an Oscar winner.
Yeah, I can't remember. I was listening to an interview with somebody, an actor, who was saying that they just thought of auditioning as their job and
Mm,
they got really good at it. And it's like, what do I have to do today? Well, I'm going to go to work, and meaning I'm going to go to an audition. And you just like, I thought that was a really good way of looking at it.
that's how I used to feel when I was looking for a job. And I do feel like I got really good at applying for jobs because, man, there's nothing more soul crushing if you let it crush your soul. But I would just be like, time to clock in. All right, I'm going to make all these, I'm going to edit. I have a folder full of different resumes I sent to different people. You got to change all the adjectives and whatnot. I do cover letters. So, you know, control F replace, send that off, you know, and interviewing. I feel like I did get very good. And now um I've not that I would ever want to like actually coach people, but I get happy when a friend asks me for advice. I'm like, let me help
Yeah.
you, cuz nobody ever wants to do the thing you have to do, which is not lie, but like extend the truth and be like, I'm fucking awesome and here's why you got to hire me. It drives me bonkers. Like, I used to TA for this graphics class, and when people would present their art and they'll be like, well, I know it sucks, but okay, F, you said it sucks, so why should I give you something better? You know? Like, it's such an artist thing to do, be like, oh, okay, I know it's like not that good, but you know, okay, yeah, it's horrible. Like, what do you want me to say? You just told me it was bad. Like, why should I care now? You know? So I feel like if you go into an interview just being like, well, you know, I'm just kind of a little guy. And you probably shouldn't even hire me. Okay, I won't.
Yeah, totes. And I think that if you ever get the chance to be on a panel that like, has people, you're the interviewer, I think that's a really
Mhm.
great experience because then you can sort of see. And I don't know, to me, it was always an ego boost. I'm like, I am fucking awesome. Look at these.
Other people are bringing this? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is not even an option for me, you
I
know?
love it when like philosophy professors, like they have to do a mini teach. That's one of the things that's part of the interview. And I'm just like, I'm a fucking amazing teacher. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But then,
We're our own worst critics because in your head, the bar is like somewhere you can't reach and you don't realize the bar for it was crazy when I realized other people's expectations for me were like below the ground, which I mean is also kind of sad because you're kind of like, damn, like you just thought I suck. Okay. But it made me realize I'm like, I would put way too much effort into my job because they would be like, oh, okay, you can do this. Okay. Now you do this now. No, we're not going to pay you more. But now with my job now, I literally do exactly what they tell me to do and sit back. You know, I stopped offering like, well, I could, no.
that's what
If they
I
ask me
need
to,
to
I'll do it.
do.
But
That's what I need to do. I just need to run out the clock. I'm hoping I can. I'm hoping I can retire when I'm 60. So
I hope so too.
yeah, I really, really hope so because I don't know if I can make it to 65. But
Mm,
I don't have to worry about that today. But I think I'm just going to run out the clock. I just,
yeah, you should.
yeah. I've done a lot, and
Put in exactly as much as needs to be done and not a second more. That's my philosophy. And it's working out pretty well.
Like they're doing this trunk or treat thing on a Saturday on campus and they wanted volunteers. And I'm like, no fucking way.
Fuck no. I have a life. Thank you.
That's my time. That's my time.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay me? No.
No overtime?
No. You want me to do extra stuff for no pay?
That's a joke. That's also like, not I'm not even trying to be mean, but that's like, oh, you don't know anybody. And maybe this is your chance to make a friend. But I got enough. I'm good. So.
Yeah. Well, you know who was not good?
It's like, do we even need to ask who the fool of this movie is?
It's very obvious. No. But let me explain WOHOs. We're doing something a little bit different for the next series of shows. I think we're just going to do it until we don't want to do it anymore.
I like that.
Okay. So since Mac is very interested in Japanese culture and I am very interested in Korean culture, we thought it might be fun to feature some Japanese and Korean horror movies. As per, we are not experts on these films, just appreciators.
And we are not experts in the culture either.
No, not at all.
My mom has been to South Korea. I have not stepped foot in Japan. Well, I have technically been in South Korea. Don't remember a lick of it, but I was there. I would like to go to Japan. We are both learning Korean and Japanese respectively. And second class is going great, though I'm having to pick up the studying pace because first class, it was kind of like study the day before. I'm good. And now the last class, I was like, I still did my best and I still did a good job. But, I realized like, okay, I got to put in like a little bit more effort. It's getting like really tough now, which is good. It's good to
I think
challenge yourself.
I think my Christmas present to myself will be Korean lessons starting in January. So I've got a lot going on right now, but I think that will be a good timing for me.
Yeah. It's so rewarding to attempt to learn a language. I'm also now like, I guess at some point I got to spend some time in Japan. Like I want a vacation there, but I'm like, to be fluent, like, or find a buddy. This is what made me so fucking mad about, I don't know if I told the WOHOs, but I told you about this guy I took the class with who has a Japanese wife who didn't put in any effort. His wife paid for the class. He did not give a fuck. And I'm like, do you realize you have somebody who loves you, who will let you be stupid and talk to them in Japanese and will tell you what you did wrong? You can't pay for something like that. Or if you did, it'd be so expensive. And you're getting that because she loves you. You idiot. I would love something. Hey, if you are learning English and you know Japanese and you need a buddy, let me know if you're a WOHO.
That would be great. I know. Do you remember when the guy who's a friend of UYD who lives in South Korea said, send me your addresses and I'll have my Korean students send mail to you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've gotten 3 letters.
Really?
They're in English and they're really sweet. And yeah. So
I love that.
But they didn't put return addresses on them, so I can't write back.
Dang. Oh.
But I would love a buddy too.
Yeah, a pen pal. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
So our first movie in our series.
We've done a lot of more recent Korean and Japanese films, but this one is called The HOUSEMAID, and the short plot summary from IMDb states a composer and his wife, he's a piano teacher.
Oh, that's pretty generous. That he should put that on his resume.
Are thrown into turmoil when a housemaid becomes more than they bargained for. Understatement
of the millennia.
This was written, directed, and produced by Kim Ki-young, and it starred Kim Jin-kyu as Don Shik Kim, the husband, Ju Jung-ru as Mrs. Kim, the wife, Lee Eun-shim as Myung-suk, the maid, which I never heard her name.
Yeah, I don't think. Maybe when Miss Cho introduced her.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Engran as Kyung-hee Cho, An Sung-ki as Chung Soon Kim, the son, and Lee Yuri as A Soon Kim, the daughter. Cinematography by Kim Duk-jin, edited by Kim Ki-young. Music by Han Sang-gi, and the release date was November 3rd, 1960. It has a running time of 108 minutes. How did you feel about this runtime, Mac?
Honestly, I thought it was good. It's like nearly identical to the Onibaba runtime, which I thought could have been actually shorter. But I feel like there's so much that happens in this movie that I can't imagine it being shorter. It's incredibly fast paced.
Okay, so it's raining, and we push in on a domestic scene. First of all, the camera work in this film is freaking incredible. Lots of tracking shots and lots of push-ins and push-outs and close-ups and all this stuff. And so the husband is reading a story in the paper about a man who had an affair with his maid. And the wife is like, well, that's ridiculous. Why would he fall for a maid? And the husband's like, no, I think it's pretty plausible. And
Which, like, whoa. If my husband said that, I'd be like, huh?
Come again?
Yeah.
And then there's this loud, discordant jazz music as the children play Cat's Cradle. And we get the title card and we get all of the credits, and it really hangs on these kids playing Cat's Cradle at this point. And then we cut to the fabric factory. There's a lot of...
Well, the husband is also like, well, it makes sense to me. Like, you know, she's the first to greet the husband. She deals, like, she cleans everything. The first to greet the husband, I thought was crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, she knows our house better than we do and stuff. I don't know. I like, it's so funny. I always thought this is what any maid was. And then, like, growing up, you know, sometimes dad would like he'd be like, oh, I got a maid. And as a kid, I thought like, oh, there's going to be a lady that lives in the house now. But no, just be like, I come home from school and like suddenly everything is vacuumed. That's what having a maid is now. I guess that's what having a maid is when you're not like uber rich.
Well, I was a little confused about the setup for this movie. So we cut to a factory. It's a fabric factory, and there's lots of spinning wheels everywhere. There are a lot of wheels in this film, but there are all these women who are in uniform, and then they go into a locker room, and then there's like this dispute about whether you should go to the sports club or the music club. And I'm like, what's going on right now?
How old are these women? And they all look like housewives. Like they're wearing like, you know, 50s dresses.
Right. Well, this was a way to make money. So they would go from the country, I guess, into the city and live at their workplace. And then there'd be these extracurricular things that would like be there for their development, I guess, and their social life. But yeah, I was like, what is happening right now? But it's 1960. So
yeah,
it's after the Korean War. And I guess it was a time of some economic hardship in the country. One of the reasons to go to music club is that the piano teacher is very handsome. And then we have this scene between two of the women, and they're going to leave a note on the piano for the piano teacher.
It really is. At first you're like, how old are these women?
Yeah.
You know, like it feels like the dispute first feels so like high school, like, and then to be like, the music teacher's dreamy. Oh, I'm going to leave him a note about how much I like him. You know, I'm like, oh, are these like adults playing like teenagers? And it's like, oh no, they're like grown women.
Yeah, they're grown women, but they're probably in their early 20s.
Yeah, unmarried.
But after he discovers the note, he takes it to like I don't know, the head of the factory or something, or the dorm mother or something. And so the woman who left the note is called into the dormitory supervisor's office, and she is suspended for 3 days.
And before, because like the dorm manager, I think would have been chill just kind of giving her a warning, but he was like very adamant, like, well, we gotta like do something. Cause she was like, well, don't you know what this is going to do to her, you know? And he's like, yeah, but you know, rules have to be. So this is a really like stern man. When it's like, dog, you should have just, oh, how the movie would have been different if he would have just been like, you know what, let's just give her a formal warning and, you know,
So
nope.
she's
But, you know,
humiliated. Go
you
ahead.
shouldn't harass people. So I guess it could be considered harassment.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, unwanted attention at work, basically. So yeah, it is harassment. But she makes a public announcement before she leaves that she's quitting because of the music teacher.
I do love this movie, but I mean, it's written by a man, right?
Oh yeah.
Like the women are so like, this is just like bitches be crazy, the movie.
I know. And there were a lot of letterbox reviews that were like, fuck this movie. It's so sexist and all the women are stupid and they're all crazy. And it's like, okay, I mean, yeah, but it was 1960. And I also think everybody is a symbol too, especially the wife, I think, is, and the housemaid. So it, yeah, but
It's tough. It's like if I wrote this, I would have written it differently. But I was going to say that it's not even that I think all the characters are written well or anything, but I stand by that Korean film characters are my favorite of any film character. I just feel like they depict many facets of humanity and they make you feel for people while also thinking that they're like just not it's like you I feel like in American movies you're either a perfect symbol of everything a person should be or you're the scum of the earth and there's no in between, but in Korean films it's like every single person has a diabolical side and also a side that is caring and also a side that you feel sorry for them. And that's how humans are. Like if you tell me you've never done something that if somebody took a picture of and put it everywhere, everybody would say you're scum. Like everybody's done something or thought something. And I hate pretending like we haven't. And Korean movies do not pretend.
no.
Everyone in this film does something shitty and I love it.
Well, there's that whole thing, I think it's called Han, and it's just that feeling of kind of like overwhelming emotion, but you got to tamp it down for society's sake. And it's like it goes through Korean culture. And this movie is very melodramatic, but I think it's a really great example of Han too. And it's just if you look at it through, I mean, yes, it's melodramatic, but that's
It's critiquing also the culture. It's
yeah,
like it's depicting sexism. I feel like you kind of miss the point if you're like, this movie's sexist. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's the point of it. Is that it's saying, look how fucked up this is, and
right.
the fact that you're mad at it was the goal. And so, I do agree that sometimes the female characters, but even then, I feel like it's supposed to be like you said, this is a symbol. This is a depiction of
Yeah.
something. It's fucked up, isn't it? You
And the
know?
male character is no great shakes. I mean, he's a
Oh,
fucking
he's the
scum.
worst.
So
And so is his stupid kid.
yeah,
His
that's
son is like the
stupid kid.
worst.
The boy is terrible.
But I love it. Again, I'm like, oh, this is how kids are. Like, they can be pretty fucking horrible. So let's not pretend they're not. Like, they are.
So at home, we get some more wheels because mother is sewing and daughter is practicing the piano. And the daughter is on crutches. We don't know what her disability is, but she moves around with crutches. And Ms. Cho comes to see Mr. Kim. And Chung Soon is teasing A Soon. So this is the son teasing the daughter. And he is saying there's a rat behind her, and she kind of stumbles on the stairs and she falls down.
And I love she's like, well, because also Miss Cho brought like goodies.
Yes.
And he's eating them on top of the stairs. And, Aeon's like, give me some. And he's like, well, come get it, and she's on crutches. So that's a pretty fucked up thing. So she's trying to, and then, she kind of like slips and pretends to cry. And then when he gets close, she grabs one. But then when the dad comes around, she starts pretending to cry again, which, okay, I was literally just telling Alan the other day, the way my little kid brain works sometimes as a kid was I would totally play it up to like get Sam in trouble, and it worked. So sometimes it's a real cry, but sometimes little girls, they are being devious. And, I feel like that's a credit to them. It was a credit to my problem solving skills.
Yeah.
I want to get him in trouble. How am I going to do it? I did it.
I wrote letter from Kwok. Kwok is the woman who quit, but I don't know what that means. So,
because they get a letter from her. Like, there's also this like looks like adolescent working in the factory who's the messenger, and she goes and is like, there's a letter from her. And first the husband Mr. Kim asks if he can read it. And she's like, 1 second. And Ms. Cho reads it. And basically it says like, oh, she's fallen ill. But then she lies to Mr. Kim and is like, oh, she's going to be back soon. It's fine. Do you want to read it later? And then as soon as he leaves, like all the women read it.
So at home, they are building onto the house, and there's going to be this addition basically there, and so the piano has been moved upstairs into the upstairs portion of the house, and the other room upstairs is where the housemaid is going to sleep. So Miss Cho says that she wants to learn how to play the piano, and when Mr. Kim teaches her, he places his hand on top of her hand, and he puts his arm around her other shoulder. So
very close.
Very close. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So later we'll have feet upon feet, but here we have hands upon hands. Mother's in the kitchen. She's kind of like setting it up, but she finds a rat, and she faints kind of. She's really overcome.
I really wonder, because they present this as she's just she even says like, because she's like, oh, I'm so tired because I have to do all the housework and I have to do this and I'm pregnant. And the husband's like, okay, we'll get a housemaid. And she goes like, oh, thank goodness that the rat scared me because now I'm finally able to get some rest. And I'm like, did they show us the little girl crying before, like fake crying to kind of say like, this is her being like, oh, woe is me. But the thing is also, earlier when Ms. Cho and Mrs. Kim are first introduced, they're connecting immediately of being women in this extremely patriarchal society. And, Ms. Kim is saying all the stuff she does, and Ms. Cho's like, wow, that must be like a lot of hard work. And she's like, well, if only he could recognize it. And then when they're doing the piano lessons, which he's only doing, he literally says to make more money because he's not making any money as a composer, be doing extracurriculars at this factory. She's doing the sewing, making the money for the family. And he's like, well, I can't fucking play the piano in here, so he really doesn't appreciate her at all. And is kind of an asshole about it. So I don't blame her for being manipulative to get what she wants, because it's like, you are making this pregnant woman work and clean and, do the child rearing and stuff. And you're what, a music teacher? Like, come on.
Well, I told you off mic that I watched this interview with Bong Joon-ho, who really loves this movie, and who said that the Mr. Kim is a kind of a wishy-washy guy. He's not very masculine. And so that was really a comment by Kim Ki-young about this character.
Oh, because also when Aeun, that reminds me, it's like he's domineering. He's not masculine like he's not masculine in the sense of like actually doing shit right and like our ideal of what the provider should be. But he will be when it comes to being a fucking asshole because, again, we don't know what Aeun's condition is. But Ms. Cho goes to like help this little girl who's fallen on the stairs. And he's like, no, no, no. She needs to exercise to get better.
Right.
Like, let's not help her. Which I get in a sense. You know, you don't want to make kids super like they do need to learn how to fend for themselves. But also, like, you're okay with letting your son call her. Like, it was translated as cripple, you know, like you're cool with that? That's weird.
And he also called her an idiot.
Yeah. And then he makes the son do, I've seen this in so many, I feel like this must be a traumatizing thing for so many kids. I've seen in so many animations, shows of like the punishment of holding your arms up.
Mm-hmm.
That's like torture, right? Like, I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, that's so fucked up, but it seems to be such a prevalent thing in so many things I've seen.
The wife also, when she collapses because of the rat, she says the house is too big. So she was just talking about how wonderful it is that they have this house, you know, and they've worked so hard for it. And now she's like, the house is too big. So she kind of talks out of
she's
both
also
sides,
wishy-washy.
Yeah, of her mouth. And I don't know, but her stomach hurts. She has no strength. Yes, right. Well, back at music club, Mr. Kim asked Cho about does she know of anybody who wants to be a housemaid, and Cho's roommate is smoking in the closet. That's the first time we see her, and she's a little bit embarrassed about it. And Cho says women shouldn't smoke. It's going to put her in a tailspin. And she says, oh, what's a tailspin? And she just sort of like demonstrates. And she's like, so do you want to be this guy's housemaid? And she's like, I don't know about working for a music teacher. And she's like, well, you'll get paid. And I looked it up. It's in the trivia. She's not getting paid hardly anything, like maybe $100.
Really?
Like
a month?
A month.
And she has to give some of that
to Cho.
To Ms. Cho. Yeah. She's not in a good position. I feel like the energy this actress gives me is if I could do a dream recasting for some reason, I would pick a young Winona Ryder.
You would?
She's got such a frenetic like energy and she's kind of like pixie-ish, you know? She's really tiny.
I don't think Winona is sexy enough.
I didn't find this character that sexy, to be honest.
I did. That kind of in a cute, sexy way.
I mean, I find her exactly as sexy as I find a young Winona Ryder of just like.
I mean, she's not Sophia Loren. Do you know who Sophia Loren is?
No.
That's like a grown-up, sexy-ass woman. Yeah, look her up. She's goddamn gorgeous, but she's like sultry. You know, she's.
I'm seeing
this one.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't even know her name. What the fuck is her name? I made a note of it. I don't think she's ever called her name. Like, I think Mr. Kim calls her, she, or that kind of thing. But she does have a name, Myung Suk. But anyway.
Miss Cho is like way more sexy, I feel like. Just going off of, like, again, I think she's very beautiful and I think she's perfect casting and was amazing. But like, I got more like scary vibes. But that's what I wanted. But I didn't really get like super, like when she's like all wet from the rain and her shirt see-through, I'm just like, I don't like it. I wouldn't, if I was Mr. Kim, I wouldn't be like, oh boy, you know. I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm just saying like, because she wasn't even giving like, ooh, sultry. She was giving like
this is where the symbolism comes in, because the wife is wearing like traditional clothing all the
whole time. Yes.
And it's the kind of,
really baggy.
If you've never seen it, WOHOs, it hides, it obscures the body. So there's, and so here's this woman who's in basically a wet t-shirt, in front of him. So
and her hair's out.
her hair's out, and she's all wet. And it's like, I don't know. I thought she was sexy. So Dad's cooking. Oh my God. Can you believe it? And the kids are like, you're a better cook than Mom, Dad. Like, Dad, you're
He's
the
like,
best.
oh, stop. The kids are so funny.
They are very funny. But the dad finds rat poison in one of the cupboards, and he tells Chung Soon to be aware of the bottle. And A-soon says, yeah, it can kill a person. So yeah, you got to be really careful with this stuff.
The biggest foreshadowing. I feel like that camera is just like rat poison. The way that they focus on it, you're like, I get it.
And then to really draw that home, I mean, when Myung-suk comes over, that's really going to be telegraphed, I guess we could say. So, but we get this really sweet scene, I thought, where the family eats in the bedroom because Mom's like in bed, resting in bed. And, Chung Soon is naughty because the dad's like, take this to your mother. And the son says, there's no rat poison in this, is there? And the dad like hits him on the head. He's like, get out of here. And so then the kid like eats a little bit in the hallway off of it. Like, what a little shit.
I know, he's the worst. And anytime there's like the doorbell rings, the dad's like, go get the door. And he's like, I don't wanna.
I know.
And the dad goes, do you want me to rip this? Like the art he's working on. And then the wife has to say like, dear, like you're supposed to encourage them, not scare them. This guy's the worst.
So Miss Cho brings, and I just wrote blank.
What is
for
it?
The housemaid.
It can melt. Like the treats?
Oh, no.
What are these treats? Oh, okay.
I'm guessing they're like
she brings them in a bag.
Meringue or like candy or something,
But then, the son's like, they already melted. I'm like, it can melt? What is it? I mean, we never see it. We just see a hand and then right into his mouth.
I did think that was kind of, I mean, she has ulterior motives, but I mean, I thought that was kind of a neat thing before I knew she had ulterior motives.
But the kids love her. They're like, Miss Cho's coming over. But he is like, oh, you've bribed the children.
Yeah. So Miss Cho brings blank, it's Myung-suk over, and like, they don't even acknowledge them because I acknowledge her. And I don't even think he looks at her. He's like, who's that?
Yeah, who have you brought with you to my home?
She's like, you said you wanted a housemaid. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then they go back to the bedroom. And so Myung-suk on her own, she goes into the kitchen and she goes into the cupboard. And there's a rat in one of the cupboards. And she finds it and she kills it. She like smacks it with something and kills it. And so off camera, we hear that and everybody comes running. But before that, Miss Cho says of her roommate, she's not too bright, but she's a good worker.
Dude, this poor woman.
So they come and they see that the rat has been killed. And then the husband's like, get the rat poison from the cupboard. So
also, I was like, bro, he would rather use poison than he's got somebody totally willing to just beat the shit out of a rat. I'd rather do that. Don't have poison in your house. Well, again, more things could have been avoided if you just let her beat the shit out of the rat.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like a good strategy because there's always more rats,
That's true.
So
she's happy to find them.
She puts poison all over the rice and then they leave the rice out in the kitchen on the floor.
See, and that was weird too. I was like, oh, is that how you do it? You put it in human food and you just put it in a plate and put it on the ground? Like, it felt very, weird in a good way. It's like, if I told somebody to use rat poison and then they took food that I made and, put it on one of our good plates and then put the poison on it, I'd be like, this person's kind of a Looney Tune.
Well, he told her to do that though,
But he said use the poison. He didn't say do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how you're supposed to do it, but
I don't know. So Mr. Kim shows Myung-suk the room. Her room is next to the piano room. And so there's this tracking shot that goes from the bedroom to the veranda to the piano room. And Myung-suk watches Mr. Kim smoke and teach Cho to play piano. And of course, when he teaches his students how to play the piano, he's very hands-on, if you know what I mean. And then we get next to the dead rat in the kitchen, there's another rat that is writhing on top of the rice. I guess we should have given a trigger warning for rat death.
Yeah, do you think real rats died? I guess I don't care, not to be rude, but
they definitely did.
Okay. I mean, I guess that's bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Remember when we had those like film directors on from Dismembering Horror, and the guy said that he was going to give compliments to the millipede wrangler because he had a millipede in the opening shot of his film.
Oh yeah,
so
that's so cool.
Yeah. So Mother has a nightmare. She says that all the rats were dying, but they all had human faces.
I would have loved to see that.
She says when she gets too much rest, she has bad dreams.
I was like, bitch, what do you want? Nothing's good enough for you.
But then there's kind of this sweet moment where they reminisce about their college days, and then
that was sweet.
How they planned for this house, and they worked so hard, and he's like, okay, what do you want now? And she's like, I want another son, and I want our kids to go to college. And he's like, all right, well, that's pretty far in the future. I think I'll just rest right now.
Like, yeah, that's what I mean of like, they get up to some pretty heinous shit, but like they love each other.
Oh, they
like,
do.
Even when they're both bitching and moaning about it, at the end, like there's so many like beautiful scenes in this movie that are very heartwarming.
Yeah, I agree. So the father brings a chipmunk home. He calls it a squirrel, but it's a chipmunk.
This whole scene is crazy. Like, I don't know. I felt like I was insane when I was watching it. Again, in a good way, but I was like, you living with you would be a nightmare. Yeah. I feel so bad for this daughter. Already she's not the firstborn son, so that's fuck her life anyway, you know?
So he says that he uses a whole speech about wild animals. This is a wild animal. And when people caught it and put it in cages, they thought it would just like kind of like lay around. But no, if you put it on a wheel, it just like runs and runs and runs. And he's basically saying, and she goes, oh, so you're saying that I should work and I should exercise too. And he's
like, thanks,
bingo.
Dad. She starts kind of crying a little bit.
Yes! Reasonably so.
Because he says specifically, no, it's not for you kids. It's for her, you know?
Yeah.
What lesson are you going to learn from this young lady, you know? Jesus Christ, Dad. Thanks for the trauma. You're already a worthless girl. Can you at least get your legs to work right? Like, that's what he said.
Yeah. So we got another wheel. So
you're right.
In this film.
I didn't even notice all the wheels.
Chung-soon so Chung-soon goes to, what's her name?
Miss Cho?
No, Myung-suk. And I just put a blank. I just wrote Chung-soon wants water from blank. I didn't realize.
She doesn't have a name.
So he says he wants a glass of water. So she gives him a glass of water, but then A-soon says not to drink it. There's rat poison in it. And Myung-suk drinks it, and then she like slams the door on the kids.
I love that. She's like, yeah, fuck you kids.
And then Miss Cho comes, and Myung-suk says to Cho, oh, you must really like your piano lessons. Like, you must be having a lot of fun when Kim like holds your hands when he's teaching you. And she's like, shut up, you're a dummy.
Shut up, idiot.
And then Cho, in retaliation, I guess, tells Mr. Kim that Myung-suk smokes.
Yeah, and she brings the cigarettes, and then like the kids also take it from her pocket.
Yeah.
And yeah, everybody's shitting on this poor lady.
Yeah. So Chung Soon takes the cigarettes, goes to Mom. Hey, Mom, are these Dad's brand of cigarettes? And she's like, I don't know, just go give those to your dad. And he does. And anyway, there's a scene where Mr. Kim brings the cigarettes to Myung Suk. And he's like, are these yours? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, just go ahead and smoke. Let's smoke, And she's really shy. And the actor, I don't think, smoked.
Yeah, the way she does it is so... But it honestly makes sense, because then...
it does.
What do you want to say?
Well,
I thought the line of why she started smoking, it blew me away.
Yeah, it was really crazy. So she said that the women at the factory taught her so that they could bribe her with cigarettes. So they basically got this chick hooked on nicotine to manipulate her.
And Miss Cho is the one who brought the cigarettes to her.
Yeah.
Everybody's she's just a pawn in so many things.
Oh.
Because I think that's, I hadn't put two and two together. But it's there is so much being said, even with the dynamics of Ms. Cho and Myun Suk, because it's I thought at first, having seen the remake, that Ms. Cho was going to be the housemaid. And the housemaid in general, they're saying these are women that are now being made to do the role of homemaker without getting any of the... I'm not saying it's good to be a wife in Korean society, not that that's a privileged, happy thing all the time anyway, but it's you don't even get the benefit of being the wife of this guy and going to be supposedly taken care of, but you're doing the work of that role, with none of the thanks. And now even with Ms. Cho, or any pay. Yeah, you're a doormat and kids don't like you. Ms. Cho, she gets to be pretty, come in, the kids love her, Mrs. Kim loves her, and then she gets to have him, teaching her the piano. She gets to pay for piano lessons, and when he asked her, does she know anybody, she didn't even consider herself for that role. She's already delegated that so that she can continue doing her thing. And she chose the most, somebody she doesn't respect. So everybody's disrespecting this position, even somebody not the wife, even somebody who wants to be the mistress, that's crazy.
She's got the lowest status that you could possibly have, I guess.
Yeah.
Mother has a cramp in her leg. I don't know. I can't remember what happened here, but she wants her husband to massage her leg, and that'll come up later. So I just thought that was kind of funny. And he does. And they have a little moment again where they're having a little bit of conversation. She's like, but she's so funny. He massages her leg, and she's like, oh, your arm must be tired. Here, do my shoulders. But I thought the costuming was really amazing in this film.
Yes.
I love the guy in his 50s flannel with the arm sleeves rolled up past his elbow, and I don't know, just really...
They make great use of the black and white because the clothes the children are wearing pop because they're so dark. Aeon is wearing the Peter Pan collar dress. They look perfect little pictures of what, the nuclear family's supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so he says that they should all go to her mother's house, but what ends up happening, or maybe they all do, but he comes back so he can work, and the family stays at the mother's house, at the wife's mother's house. And we find out that Miss Kwok has died. And so
that really, I thought that was all a dream sequence at first because of how it just, now we're at her burial. Oh my God.
And the mother is, of course, beside herself with grief, but she attacks Mr. Kim saying, why did you dismiss her? We didn't have any money. This was it. And you're the cause of all this. And it's storming now. There's lots of rain in this film. Oh, this is the seduction. No, sorry. Almost the seduction scene. Okay, so Myung-suk is wet. She has been playing the... Oh, I forgot to mention in the smoking scene, she says she wants to take piano lessons, and he says, don't ever touch the piano.
Dude!
So...
You'll break the keys.
Right. But she has been playing the piano, but when Mr. Kim brings Miss Cho to the house, Young-suk spies on them from the veranda. That's really cool. And there was a reflection in the piano door. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so cool. So you've got Miss Cho and Mr. Kim, and their faces like are right next to each other. And I guess that is like the impetus for Cho to confess that she was actually the one who had the crush on Mr. Kim, and she made Miss Kwok write the letter, and Mr. Kim kicks her out.
And then she kind of goes fucking crazy.
Yes,
she's like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to tell everyone that you raped me. And, and then I'm going to kill myself and then say that I want you to be punished in my suicide note. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like, it's already nuclear that you've confessed to him because you got your friend to do it to see what would happen. And she killed herself, So, like, I thought this whole thing was her getting revenge on Ms. Kwok. Like, I did not realize she was trying to get with him. And it's like, well, you already know it's a no. So why confess now? I guess because the mom's not here. Maybe, she can get him while he's weak and he's feeling bad about Ms. Kwok,
Yeah,
didn't work.
All that. And he slaps her across the face and she falls on the floor and it's
threatens to murder her. He's like, well, I can kill you right now.
Yeah, I can throw you down these stairs.
Then he says, please keep coming to lessons. We need the money. Whoa, bro, that's rich. Yeah, I'm going to keep paying you.
Oh my God. Yeah, I got all this. Okay. Yeah, they need the money. That's really funny. So now Myung-suk is playing the piano, braless, and we get the seduction scene. So Bong Joon-ho said this is one of the weirdest seduction scenes he thinks he's ever seen.
I don't even know. Can you call it seduction or is it assault?
What do you mean assault?
I don't feel like he wants to do this at all. Like,
well, he can't help it.
But okay, I feel like
I know he can.
I mean, like in the remake, it's so like never when they're together is he like, oh boy, I'm about to have sex. It's always like, oh my God, fuck my life. Like, is that being seduced? Like, that's being coerced into sex.
Well, she didn't have a bra on. And then she took her clothes off.
Yeah, but she's only doing it because she's like, I'm going to ruin your life. Like, that's not seduction. I argue that this is not seduction. Okay. I don't think he's ever like, oh, woo doggies, I want to fuck her. He's always like, I guess I got to do this or else I'm going to lose everything.
But I think that's the that's the drama of it, or the melodrama of it. I mean, it's horrible that they have to do this and it's inevitable, and it's not the way really people are. I hope, God.
But to me, it's like the thing that I like about this is that, again, it's like he obviously does have a choice in this moment. He definitely could have been like, a fuck no, I'm just going to tell my wife everything, and, they can try to pin it on me, but like, I'll just give my case, And so he did make a choice here. He chose a certain thing. But to me, the way I felt this scene was portrayed, it wasn't because he was like, and you are pretty sexy, so I guess I'm just gonna fuck you. It's like I thought
he was like when she.
I didn't get that vibe.
Lifts her arm, and then he like approaches her from behind, and then he puts his hand in her armpit, which is weird. But then she clamps down on it. I mean, his wife would never do anything like this.
I did get that, I did get like that specifically, like, oh, his wife, he hasn't been with his wife, but I just feel like the energy I got from that actor, and again, in a good way, like I enjoyed this aspect, was it always felt like he never wanted to touch her. Like he was just like, oh, like it pains him to do this.
It does. It does. He's
but to me,
tortured.
seduction is like, oh, mama, like.
Okay. I don't know what you would call it. I mean, I don't think she assaults him, but I mean,
it's coercive sex.
It's coercive sex.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say. But he's not an innocent participant.
No. He made a choice here, but I feel like if it was like, if somehow the roles were like I felt more like it was with Ms. Cho that he was kind of like, no, I mustn't, but I feel like he maybe was a little bit more attracted to her as a person. Yes. And like, but he doesn't respect or like this woman in any way.
She's trash. And Bong Joon-ho used a lot of this movie in Parasite.
I could see it. Yeah.
And it's that whole scene of the couple on the couch and she's like, let's pretend that we're really poor and like I'm addicted to drugs and
yeah, it's like there's just they're not people, they're concepts.
Yeah.
So I guess, to me it's like, again, I like that anytime she is getting with him sexually, it's like she's in this, now she's in some sort of dominant role where she gets to fulfill her fantasy and he's the unwilling participant, because so often it is the woman that is in that role, and it's not enjoyable really to see because you're just like, oh my god, it's not sexy to me. But I like that it's not sexy because it shouldn't be, it's like it is coercive, it's not nice or good, so I'm glad that it's uncomfortable. I guess that's my take.
Yeah. No, I got you. I mean, given what we get at the very, very end of the movie, I feel like we're supposed to think that he really had no choice. Like, what was he supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, and then I feel like the wife, I feel like that kind of comes undone in a way in the movie. Yeah. Of it being like, oh, buddy, I don't know if you can use that line. Like,
but she turns to face him. She steps on his shoes.
I love that.
And then she clasps her hands behind his back.
He's hers now, she's got him in her grasp. Oh, I love that so much.
And to really drill the point home, lightning strikes the tree outside the bedroom window.
Infidelity.
So at music club, one of the women wants to get everybody to quit because
he's a murderer.
Yeah, because of what happened to Miss Kwok. But Cho stands up for Mr. Kim and says, if you could have heard him at the funeral and all the things that he said. And so they're like, well, okay, I guess. And then he comes in and he's like, let's all sing Miss Kwok's favorite song. Like, okay.
See, the whole Miss Cho thing, I guess it kind of confused me because I really got Parasite vibes when I thought she was trying to sabotage him and that she was like, well, let me find this person and we're both in on it, kind of. And then because when she writes the letter to Ms. Kwok, she also, I mean, she uses, now I realize, is a line from that song, but it's kind of like, these rosy thoughts could have never penetrated this icy, just basically saying like, well, he's a stupid idiot, so your pure love. I guess it was foolish to think that we could melt his icy heart, and then it's like, wait, you liked him the whole time? That just kind of like confused me a little bit. Yeah, and then the way she's like, I'm gonna say that you raped me, and it's like, whoa.
I didn't realize it like the first time I saw it. I didn't, I thought that Kwok really had loved him and stuff. So I thought that was a really good switcheroo. Well, now Myung-suk, I think she's wearing all black, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Myung-suk is plinking on the piano and she calls him, okay, look what I did. I just wrote, blank is plinking on the piano. Blank calls him darling. Blank says she is now his mistress and she should be treated better than a maid.
What is the Korean? What is she saying? Is like apachi? No, that's father, right? Like, what is she saying? Yobo, yes. And he's just like, do not.
Do not.
No. Yes, that she's just like, well, I am your mistress now. I just love that he's like, no, 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 no.
But then I was a little bit confused by this. She says that she's no longer a virgin. She can't marry anyone else. And he's just like, he puts his head in his hand. But a little while later, she says, after the family comes back and all that other stuff, she says, the last place I worked, the woman swallowed poison when the man confessed to an affair. With her?
No, I feel like, but wasn't she just saying that to be like, well, your wife, it's like, she's just kind of trying to get him by the balls more.
Right. Yeah. So I think I need to speed up the plot a little bit.
It's just so good. I can't stop talking about it.
It's just like, and I think this was in one of the Letterboxd reviews, like every frame is gorgeous. I mean, it's really a piece of art. I got to go back to the Wikipedia now. We're at the end of my notes.
Yeah, because I know I keep interjecting. It's so funny because we haven't even gotten to where, like, I was so stunned that at the end it was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like whammy after whammy.
Myung-suk feels ill as the weeks pass, revealing her pregnancy by Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim eventually decides to come clean to his wife, who, despite her initial depression over the affair, convinces Myung-suk to throw herself down a flight of stairs that leads to the second story.
And this is where the wife is just totally like he really is coming undone more and more as the like patriarchal head, because when he tells her, he's just so like, I don't know, like what do we do? And she's like, okay, I got this, and then she goes upstairs. She's like, well, I'll go beg on my knees to her. And the fact that he even let her go up the stairs, pregnant as she is, and go do that, it's like, you little, let her clean up your little mess.
Little weasel.
Little fucking weasel. Because he's just, oh, poor me. And she's like, well, you're the one that fucked her, dude. And so then, she like, we don't know what she says, but she whispers, in her ear. And then when she goes, like, then she just stands at the top of the stairs and she goes back and she just says to him, like, don't worry, like, it will all be taken care of soon, and then closes the door, and then you just hear the crash, and it's like, oh god. And she's just on the floor, and they're like, not even like, she like inches past her, to like, they don't want to even touch her.
Yeah, I thought this was handled really well in the remake. I mean, it's just so sad, like, because they forcefully like make this woman have an abortion in the remake.
I love the way this is done, though. It's just truly like,
no, it's like 1, 2, 3. She's like Lady Macbething it up. She's just like, I got this,
I saw this one tweet that was like, let's see how much like your wife, I don't remember, but it was something like, let's see how much your wife hates the idea of abortion when I fuck let's see how much you hate something about like people hating the idea of abortion, unless it's like specifically something like this, like husband knocking up, some mistress, and how like, oh, in that sense, when you can get rid of like, I think this is true. It's like, it's not even that everybody like, there are cases where anybody, I think like Republicans too, would be like, well, if it's to like get rid of this problem me, like, please do it. Like, you're going to do it. So in this instance, like something that could never be asked of Mrs. Kim, it's like, well, we can do it to the garbage, can't we?
Well, and it's kind of really funny too, because he's like, Yobo, like, would you do anything for me? Like, would you stand by me? And then like, what if I had an affair? And she's like, what?
What? He said, what if I killed someone? She's like, yeah, of course.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no problem.
What if I got another one pregnant? Well, who was it? He said, you said.
And then she's like, I don't understand why you would bring this into our like pure marital home or something like that. Like,
so I'm going to bring something even more heinous.
Yeah, and then she like, oh man. So she has a miscarriage, and after this incident, Myung-suk's behavior becomes increasingly erratic. She threatens to kill Mr. Kim's newborn son,
Oh, hold on. This is skipping a little bit because
sorry.
they've got her. Now they're just kind of keeping her prisoner because um, because Mrs. Kim is like, listen, you got to learn how to feed yourself because I will not cook for a concubine. Because she's still pregnant too. But then we find out that Mr. Kim won't even go near her because she eventually like falls down and is like, I'm still bleeding. I'm so thirsty. Like, bring me water. And we just hear see Mr. Kim like trying to pretend like it's not happening. So then she goes into their room when the baby's born and she's like, I haven't eaten in 3 days. And Mrs. Kim is like, Yobo, is that true? And he's like, I'm scared to be near her. And she's like, well, okay, I'll make you some food. Everybody should eat. It's like, he's such a pathetic loser, that even like, you're going to make your wife feed the mistress who just, it's so fucked up.
And the wife just got out of the hospital.
Yeah, she just gave birth. And yeah, but she's just like a prisoner and like, she refuses to do any work because she's like, well, you killed, my baby. But they also won't let her go because they don't want her to say anything.
Right. Yeah.
Ugh.
They can't. Mrs. Kim fights her off as she tries to grab the baby. Myung-suk then offers Mr. Kim's other son water. And after he drinks it, she says that she has poured rat poison into it.
It's so good because he's like, well, you drink it first. So she takes a sip and then he drinks it. And then she takes the cup and spits what she had in her mouth back. And she goes, that was rat poison. You're going to die. And then he fucking dies.
But I don't think it was rat poison, right? He just like freaked out and fell down the stairs and died.
I thought it was.
Well,
isn't that what we're supposed to think?
Either way, I mean, she fucked him up enough that he ended up dead over it.
Yeah. And I mean, and her viewpoint is she's just like, well, it's all the same. Like, you guys killed my baby. And she's like, he's the father of both of the kids who died. So, it's actually, she's like, why does your child matter more than mine? And that's kind of like, well, I mean, my argument is, well, that was like a child and like yours wasn't born yet. So, but I get your point though. You kind of only like, you forced him into this, but I see what you're saying.
Well, now, and she's at the top of the stairs and Mrs. Kim is at the bottom of the stairs, like cradling her dead son. And she's like, what do you want? Like, I'll give you whatever you want. And so she's like, okay, well, I want him to move upstairs with me. And she's like, yeah, great, fine. Because I mean, she's lost her child.
She doesn't want to lose any more. She's like, okay, and then once, I can get back to work and get enough money, I'll move out with my kids. She's like, well, fine. He's dead to me.
Pretty much. Mrs. Kim labors over her sewing machine, falling asleep at her work every day. Unable to stand their new arrangement, both the wife and daughter attempt to poison Myung-suk to no avail.
She's like, makes her something. I love this scene because, the wife is so like, oh my God, should I do it? Okay. And then like put some poison in the soup. But then the daughter like catches her, but she just doesn't say anything. But the music is so terrifying. It's like, dun dun. And the daughter's just looking at her like, Mom. She brings it up and Myung-suk like, eats her part. And she's like, it's sugar. And then she's like, by the way, bitch, I put sugar in the rat poison. Here's the real rat poison. And then her husband has the gall to be like, honey, you do something like this? Oh, you do something like what? Impregnate the housemaid? Okay, yeah. Sure, I tried to kill her, but she killed her child, bro.
But now, I mean, the marriage is over. I mean, it's really over. I mean, he has gone outside the marriage, impregnated somebody. The wife has hastened the miscarriage of this woman, and now she's attempted murder, basically.
I love like Myung-suk. She's like, you just tried to kill me. That's attempted murder. You're going to jail.
So
she tries to pour rat poison down Aeon's throat when she tries to get the poison in the middle of the night. Like, she is unhinged.
She's scary.
And this is poor daughter, because, like, you know, the daughter's like, Dad, like, where are you going? And Min-suk, she's like, he's coming up with me. Like, oh, the trauma that this poor girl's got. She's never going to be okay again.
I don't know if I'm jumping over a bunch of stuff, but it just says Myung-suk persuades Mr. Kim to commit suicide with her by swallowing rat poison on the grounds that she will not harm anyone else in this family.
Well, before this, Ms. Cho comes back, and it's been like a few months, and she's like, wanted to get some more lessons, and like Myung-suk's like, bitch, and she stabs her in the shoulder.
Yes,
and so then that's when, you know, at that point, Mr. Kim's kind of had it, and he's like, well, okay, like, you kind of, your power's now gone because, like, she's going to go tell the police. So it's kind of like all of this is over anyway. And she's like, no, you know, the only way it can really be over is we both die. And I want to die with you. That's the last thing I want to have. And just, it's just so amazing because the whole time she's like, you know, kissing on his like feet and stuff. And she's like, to be able to die with you is like the one thing that I want and whatnot. And he's still just like, okay, I mean, like, yeah, I'll kill myself because that's, yeah. And he's like, that's, he basically says like, that's what everybody wants anyway, is like, you know, this, he says the thing that will make everybody happy, is, you know, I'm out of here. And then my wife and my kids can go move on with their stuff, which is like, way to take the easy way out, brother.
Yeah.
You're going to leave them with now your wife really has got to go back to making dresses because you're going to be gone. But then he's like, oh, what did you say?
But I do like it that he's like, if I have to crawl, I'm going to crawl and die at my wife's side.
Yeah.
He's like, you can have my body, but you can't have my soul.
Yeah. And then when he's trying to get to her, she's asleep again from working every day. And he's like, the chair's falling over.
Wait, no. We have to do coming down the stairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this huge tussle, and it kind of mirrors the tussle he had with Cho earlier. Like, just like the choreography is kind of the same, and the way her body is like kind of like slumped over. And they're both weakening because they're succumbing to the poison. And he's just sort of like trudging down these stairs. He just wants to get to his wife. And she has her body wrapped around him, and her head is hitting every single stair as he like walks down these stairs. And then he finally lets go of her, and she's got her arms up and back, and she dies on the stairs upside down in a tailspin.
Like eyes open, looking at the guilty parties.
Or like the downfall of an actual family. So he crawls to his wife's side. She's asleep. And he finally tells her everything, like, I'm dying.
Her like reaction is just basically like, oh, okay. And she kind of like holds his hand.
And he says to take good care of the children. But then we cut back basically to the beginning of the movie, and the film ends with the piano teacher reading the story from a newspaper with his wife. And the film's narrative has apparently been told by I don't like the way this is written. Okay, so we're back to the beginning, and he breaks the fourth wall, and he's like, so you don't think this could happen to everybody? And he's like pointing to the audience. You don't think this could happen to you or you? It could happen to any man. And then he winks.
Also, we've got to mention, when he's dead, the wife all but looks at the camera and goes like, I shouldn't have asked for a bigger house. And I was like, is this a Tyler Perry movie? Like, it felt like a Tyler Perry movie in that moment of just like, oh, it was actually on my fault. It was actually because I won. It's like, girl, oh my God. Like, this is the least of the crimes here. You know, like, maybe you shouldn't have asked her to fall down the fucking stairs. Maybe that should have been like I shouldn't have asked for a bigger house. And in this, like, when he's breaking the fourth wall too, we see like Myun Suk is working there, so it's like in this reality, she does work for them.
But just as a maid.
Yeah. And he's also like, and you shaking your head like, it happened to you too. And he's like laughing, like the biggest smile we've ever seen on him in the whole movie. I was like, this is the craziest movie I've ever seen.
Batshit. Well, here's some trivia. What phobia is that? Bathmophobia is a fear of stairs.
I mean, healthy.
An Sung-ki, who plays the son, Chung-sun, is seen as an 8-year-old childhood star in his breakout role. Although barely recognizable in this film, An is one of South Korea's most respected actors and is often dubbed the nation's actor.
Whoa. I gotta look him up. What's his name again?
An, A-H-N, Sung, S-U-N-G, Ki.
It's the first thing that came up.
He's been in, his filmography is a mile long.
Yeah, he's, quite literally unrecognizable to me, but that's just because he's old now.
Well, okay, so if he was 8, so he's born in 52. So he's 17 years older than I am. So he's not, ancient, but.
He's born 1951, yeah.
Housemaid's salary was 5,000 won per month, which equates to about 454,200 won in 2024. This amount exchanges to $336.54 in US dollars.
So wait, how much money is Miss Cho? Because she's getting a fifth of that. So I gotta do some math here. You said 336?
Yeah.
What's a fifth of 336?
I was so embarrassed in the last podcast. I can't do math. I shouldn't be around any numbers. Just put it that way.
Miss Cho's basically getting like an extra $70 a month for this arrangement. Like, great. You're going to keep that from her. She's already a maid.
During the opening credits, the 2 children are shown playing the string game Cat's Cradle. It is known as siltuki in Korea. And any Korean speakers, I really apologize for butchering all the Korean. It won't be the last time. Well, what does Letterboxd have to say about it? Captain Napalm gave it 1 star. One of the most unpleasant experiences of a movie I've ever had. And while it's obviously purposeful, I still fucking hate it. Great ending, though.
I will say, if it's unpleasant, I think that's actually fair. But I feel like that was the point. I enjoyed the unpleasantness of it, but it's not like you're like, I'm so glad all this stuff's happening now.
I think it's hilarious.
I'm laughing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It made me happy because I love Bong Joon-ho's movies and I love like Park Chan-wook's movies. And it's like to see this and to just know like this is part of their influence is like amazing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Mal Gogos gave it 1 star. The Wish version of Parasite.
Okay.
Just a bad soap opera, way too melodramatic and repetitive for me. Everything is exaggerated with lots of people falling down the stairs. So slow and frustrating, the pacing took me out. One thing I hate more than anything is a boring movie, and this was just boring to me. It's cool that this inspired Bong Joon-ho with Parasite, and there's some clever camera work and nice black and white visuals, but it's still not good.
You were bored? What do you want from a movie?
Every second there's some craziness happening.
You can't predict anything that happens in this movie. How can you be bored? What are you watching? I like to watch, I like to be on a roller coaster when I watch movies myself.
Raquel A gave it 1 star. Que terrible. I wanted horrible, but I got terrible. Ami gave it 5 stars. When the grind set prevents you from exorcising your housemaid. Hatchy Snacks gave it 5 stars. This movie truly earned its legacy. An honestly terrifying melodramatic domestic horror, it truly shocks at times and is fairly sexually charged for its era. On top of that, every frame is a rich work of art. And Allie gave it 5 stars. I was on the cruise. Let's just say I was gagged.
I don't know what that on the cruise means.
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't know. I think this is the turning point where you are now too old.
Oh, I've been too old
for the slang.
I was on the cruise. I'm looking this. I'm just finding out cruises. Do you know what it is?
No, I was going to ask you.
I was on the cruise. Meme?
I was on the cruise. Let's just say I was gagged. Okay, WOHOs, please get in touch.
Get in touch. I know what gagged is, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean...
That's mainstream now, I feel like.
How would we rate it?
Well, gotta do vials of rat poison, am I right?
Obviously.
I'm going to say 4.75.
Okay, I think I said 5.
I say 4.75 simply because I was a little bit disappointed that Cho wanted to get with him. I like it more now thinking about like her relegating her to that role, but I wish the vibe had been I just was like confused at her motivations at times.
Well, I think the film is trying to confuse you a little bit. But
I feel like it didn't, not in a way.
Watch it again at some point. I mean, I think you'll see it consistently that the whole way through is.
But see, I thought she was going for seductive, but in my head, I thought it was because she felt so angry on Ms. Kwok's behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And
that would have been better.
I liked that more. So then I was like, that's the only reason I'm not giving it a perfect is because I had a moment of being like, oh, I kind of wish it was this.
You know, but, I think you're right too, because she is kind of only there to give Myung-suk the idea to blackmail him.
Yeah.
So I hate it when characters are just there like for some plot device.
Because I'm invested in her from the beginning because I think that actress was great and the character was great. So then it was like, oh, now you're just like gone, you know? And because I thought she was like, oh, this bitch is crazy. I'm about to ruin this man's life. I thought that was the goal. And that gave me definite Parasite vibes of just like, let's use this guy. You know, he took my friend from me. Because she was like, I've cried harder at Ms. Kwok's funeral than I've cried at anything in my... I'm like, so why are you trying to get with him? Like, so yeah, that's the only thing.
Because she feels super guilty, I'm sure.
Yeah, but just like, I would have liked it more if it had been like, you hurt my friend, you're going down, you know?
That would have been better, yeah.
But I still think it's a masterpiece.
What have we learned?
Oh my God.
Don't
so many things. Don't smoke. Maybe, listen, fellas. I don't know how often I feel like men think that this idea of like the blackmailing you with like a rape that didn't even happen is a thing that can happen to any, like it's like happened to 3 people. I'm sure, like, I'm sure it's happened, but not at the rate men think it happens. But if that should happen to you, like you don't have to fuck her. Like, I don't know. Just like, I promise you, because the thing to me about this kind of blackmail is like, when the genders are reversed, it's like, I'm going to fucking kill you if you don't, you know, do this thing for me, which is like, oh, you maybe could do this. But the other one is like, I'm going to get everyone to believe me, a woman with no power. It's like, well, I don't know if that will happen actually. Like, you know, so you probably don't have to fuck her.
I think it could happen. I mean, Kwok died like with very little reason why, unless you understand that, you know, your reputation is really important.
But it's like the women at the school or at the factory all were like, oh, it's his fault, but he didn't face any repercussions for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a rape allegation might carry more water.
I think like in reality, a lot of like your station in life, is going to affect your reputability. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm saying like he is in a very different position, and they're having to appeal to men, other men in this society. And like when he asks for like some, also like, yeah, at one point he asks his mentors help for like what should I do in this situation? And I forget what he says, but he's kind of just like, that's not a big deal. Like, I don't know. It's like the
don't
men.
Don't tell your wife. He says, don't tell your wife.
Yeah. So it's like they're all doing it,
Yeah.
And so anyways, I guess I'm just saying like,
but
he still made a choice to like have sex with. I don't think he had to have done that.
No, I mean, I don't think he had to do it either, except in terms of the story. And
yeah.
I think in terms of these conflicts that we all face when, temptation, is in front of us and we don't want to do it, but then we have to do it. And then we have guilt. And then, what are we going to do? I mean, so
yeah.
but he is wishy-washy. Like he doesn't listen to his friend. He doesn't, I hate that when people like seek your advice and then they don't take it. Like,
yeah, you're like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. So you didn't tell me exactly what I wanted to hear.
You knew what you wanted to do from the jump. So don't pretend like you didn't.
I was about to say, do the Hamilton thing and just tell everyone. But actually this ended exactly the same way for him. His son died and he died. So that didn't work out for him either.
No.
So.
Would we watch it again?
Yes. For sure.
Favorite scene?
My goodness. I guess the whole sequence when Mrs. Kim tells her to throw herself off the stairs, and then you really start to feel bad for her, like in the situation of, they're keeping her captive and she really has no power at all. And they're not even taking care of her or like feeding her. I just think all of that part is so captivating.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're just trying to like justify it to themselves, but also everything's crumbling. Like, what kind of example are you setting for your children and stuff? And how,
I know the whole family is destroyed.
Like a ruse does more damage than whatever damage you think is going to happen by just getting through it together.
Just being a man and like owning up to what you did, but he won't do that. And it's
not boring. I don't know. Again, I don't know how you can be this boring. And be like, snore.
I know. Like I watched like the first half of this a while ago, and in a way, like nothing happens. Like you just get, it's all set up, in the first half of the movie. But it's so compelling.
Yeah.
I really like that tracking shot. The very first one, the very first time that we see Myung-suk like go outside of her bedroom onto the veranda, to the other room to spy on Mr. Kim and Miss Cho. I love that. Mm-hmm. I could watch that over and over. It's so nice. Who wins the You Fool Award?
Folks, we said it from the top. Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim. Fool of the century. He wins the You Fool in other movies just because of the perpetual foolness.
I mean, all-time Hall of Fame.
I think he might be an all-time fooler. Like, don't even get Ms. Kwok in trouble. And I feel like a lot of this is prevented. Like, I feel like that was the single domino at the beginning. You just had to make an example out of her. And it didn't work. The person who actually liked you still tried to get with you. So
You dummy.
You dummy.
You fool.
Maybe also don't go after married men.
Yeah, that's not good.
Don't go after married women. Like, just across the board. Like, don't do that. Don't do it.
Don't really go after anybody who's partnered up.
Yeah, it's like you want to get into any sort of relationship with everybody involved being like, this is awesome, Yeah. And if one person in there is like, this is the worst mistake I've ever made, that's not going to make you feel very good. And you're never going to come first. Even if he breaks up with the wife for you, just wait till you get to, her position. Well, you're going to get tossed around too. So.
Well, thank you, Mac, for having this conversation today with me about The Housemaid.
It was awesome. And people watch this movie and then go ahead and watch the remake. I honestly, at the end of this, I enjoyed this one more than the remake. But I still think the remake's very good.
I know, and I saw somebody review it and said, don't bother with the remake.
Okay, let's not get crazy, okay? It's very different, but in a good way. I feel like one of the sexiest sex scenes is in that movie of like all time.
There's
right? Am I remembering it right?
Ass shit in that movie, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
shit goes bonkers.
I'm not going to say it's crazier, but it's the same level of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like all-time crazy.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
And thank you, WOHOs, for joining us and for all your support. It means the world of horror to us truly. Next time, we'll continue our J-horror segment with Oni Baba. Remember, WOHOs, we love you, and don't go into the basement.